Greetings, all you big, sexy world travelers. This is your host, Judge Mentalist, coming at you on a wonderful, blustery, windy day. So windy. Well, I don't know that it's windy yet, but they're projecting in the forecast that my kids are getting out of school midday. So, with all of this sucking and blowing and everything else that we're dealing with, we are bringing you episode number 69. That's right. It's a theme.
Noice.
What's going on, Big Sexy?
Whoa.
Let's hit it again.
Apparently, some nights
right
I've started this intro twice. Hold on a second, let's stop that. I don't know what happened. I must have accidentally hit the repeat button. But yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever this is hitting your ear holes. I hope that it is good. Here we are, episode 69, and my 12-year-old interior child are just giggling through the entire episode. 69.
Yes, all of those things.
All those tee-hees. How are you, sir? How's it going? How are things?
I'm doing well. I am, we may be pivoting and rescheduling I don't know if I mentioned this last time, our event in Atlanta. It doesn't look like anybody on the university side of things even set up ticket sales or started promoting it. And when I heard that, I was like, can we hit the brakes on this, please? I don't want to travel halfway across the country to do a show for 10 people. I want this to be a success. So no hard feelings. No, not calling anybody out. Let's just do it right next time. Let's bump it.
Do it right, advertise, promote, build it up. It's a fundraiser, for God's sake.
Yeah, and the goal is, I mean, we just had our very first Between Two Minds fundraiser show of 2024, and that went very, very well. And it was another one of those. So this one was actually set up through Elkton Magic, so I got to see the ticket sales as they come through. I got to see kind of the progression of the ticket sales. And this was no different than any of our other Elkton Magic shows where there's a bunch that buy right away and then it trickles throughout the process. And then if you were to go back a week before the show and look at what that ticket sale number was, and then on the day of the show, it almost doubles in that last week, which is great and annoying all at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, as we mentioned before, you should buy your tickets in advance, but we know people don't. So, thank you.
I mean, I will say, that most, and you can see this because most of these ticket sites or small venues that are hosting shows will publish their refund policies. I know that with Elkton Magic, we are incredibly flexible with respect to requesting refunds. Like I had somebody, I don't know, within the week of the show requesting a refund, and they put in their reason was that they didn't, realize the content of the show and have young kids and didn't want to bring them. This is a family-friendly show, but I didn't even respond. Without argument, I just roll up and hit refund because I think that's good customer service. I certainly didn't want, despite the response that I could have made, I really didn't want anybody to think like I was getting into some sort of an argument with them or anything like that. Whatever it is in your value system, the you being the person requesting the refund, something about this made you not want to bring some member of your family. That's enough for me.
Right.
The ones that do piss me off,
situation.
I will tell you, lessons were learned. Lessons were certainly learned in this one because in the midst of all of this, the Baltimore Ravens sports ball team, football, locked up the number one seed in the AFC playoffs. Nice. And I, as a season ticket holder, I they charge my card, the tickets show up in my account because everything's digital. It's 2024 now. And at that time, I had not yet heard back and confirmed that they hadn't even started selling tickets down in Atlanta. So I was under the impression that that game was going to be held during a weekend in which I was going to be out of town. So that gives me extra tickets. I have more tickets than I am as an individual. So I end up moving tickets to people anyway.
Right.
But I had at least two extras because I wasn't going to go. Now I am going to circle back and end up going, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
So I decided, hey, we're going to push this thing. I'm going to do a contest. I put some stuff out on social media. I know you saw it because you shared it, and a bunch of other
Right.
people probably did. Basically, it was a 2-step process of buy tickets to this show that was Saturday, and then email the Elkton Magic email address just to let us know that you want to be entered, because I didn't want to do a drawing and then have somebody be like, "Oh, I can't go to that game.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
can't
interested in
go. Yeah.
football." What,
Right.
I didn't want to enter everybody in. There needed to be an extra opt-in phase, because otherwise, the first 6 or 8 people I could have potentially drawn wouldn't have wanted the tickets, and I would have needed to redraw, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
So
Right. Kind of like our
I
whiskey and
made
barbecue tickets. Well, you have to let us. You have the extra step is you have to let us know you're going
yeah,
to Scoop
same
Fest.
deal. Exactly. Because if you're not, I'm not going to give this, we're not going to give that prize out to somebody that's not even remotely interested in being in Vegas during that time.
Right.
You don't even necessarily need to be going to Scoop Fest. It wouldn't make any sense because the Scoop Fest tickets are unlimited. The commodity here is this sold out ticket. But I made the mistake of doing the drawing for the playoff tickets the day before the show, which inevitably had one shitbag who's probably not listening to this, but if he is, you know you're on my shit list. You know you deserve to be on my shit list, requesting a refund. All a guy did
Rude.
was buy these tickets so that he could be entered into the drawing, and then probably knew from the jump that he was going to request this refund if he didn't win.
Yeah. No, sir.
So
You have to attend. You gotta put in the clause. You must attend the show.
well, the next time we do something like this, that drawing is either after the show or at the show.
Right.
So lesson learned. Some of
Yeah.
that's on me,
There you go. You
but
make the. You have the drawing at the show. Must be in attendance to receive.
right. So I mean, there's a degree to which the must be in attendance to receive I don't want,
Okay.
because it's a fundraiser show.
Right.
So there's an element to which I have a desire to get butts in seats. But, on a show like mine, once I hit 100 people, everything else is gravy. Everything else is about it being a fundraiser.
Right.
So I want the money for the fundraiser for whatever organization I'm raising money for.
Right.
Um, Especially like on the one like this, anything that I do local, and this is a shout out for anybody that might be listening to this, because I'm not giving insider information here. This is the deal that, like, because I got approached by somebody after this show. Hey, this is really great. We really love the show. Can you do a show for us? And it was another school in the area that, their marching band that wanted to do a fundraiser show. And I'm like, here's how it works. You're local. You set up, you get the room set up. You are responsible for selling these tickets. Um, we're sleeping in our own bed. So
Right.
I recommend that you sell those tickets for 25 or 30 bucks a piece. Do a VIP thing in the first couple rows, whatever you want to do. We'll work with you on it. We recommend that you're doing this in a room that'll seat, 400 or more, but 10 bucks a head, that's what we get. Everything else is yours. You go sell sponsorships, whatever the hell you want to do, raise as much money as you want. You need video from us, you need promo stuff from us, just ask, we'll make it happen. So, it's, if we're not traveling, if we're not picking up flights or anything like that, we try to make it as easy for organizations to make money. Use our show. The show's super easy.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
I was saying something to somebody the other week. I was like, look, the best part about this show is that even though we're constantly working on it and tweaking it, it's done. Like, if somebody were to call me at 8 o'clock in the morning, the time that we're recording this right now, and said, "Hey, we were supposed to have this event at our organization tonight, and the entertainment backed out. Can you help us in a pinch?" The answer is yes, scheduling permitted wise. There
Right.
is no like big ass, oh fuck, it takes me 3 days to get ready to do this show. No, this show is ready. It's in the box. It's
Yeah.
ready to go. In
I mean,
fact,
you're good. All you need is a jacket and some chairs and some napkins.
oh, for me, even more so. The
Right.
first half of the show with Bernardo, there's a little he's got to haul some stuff into the theater, but it's nothing that isn't going into a check bag on an airplane.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, so that was cool. Again, it was nice to have that, whether we make it to that goal or not, because things keep springing up in the calendar that make the prospect of doing 25 shows logistically as fundraisers with other stuff that's coming up somewhat difficult. But the goal is still there to raise 100K for nonprofits this year.
Well,
We'll
we'll
see.
keep tabs, and listeners, we'll keep you guys updated
I don't know the
on
final numbers
that
yet, but we're
progress.
somewhere between 4 and 5 grand from this first show. So that's a great start.
That's a great start. That's a really great start. You're on your way, as it were. Good deal. Well, by the time our listeners hear this, I will be back in California.
Oh, that quick, huh?
Well, so today, as we're recording, the reason we're recording today, and it's early and normally we record on Thursdays. It is Tuesday as we're recording this, is because our weekend, our weekend, our end of the week is becoming filled with packing and goodbye parties and stuff like that. I didn't want to try to. We're doing last minute trips. I didn't want to squeeze in, trying to record. So we're meeting a little bit earlier. But yeah, this as of Sunday, we will be on a plane. We're flying from Malaga, Spain. We have a layover in Paris, France.
Ooh la la.
Unfortunately, not long enough to touch French soil. Well, maybe, very briefly. I'm hoping we get a little tiny bit to go walk the dog, to touch French soil, and then I can say I was in France. If I don't get out of the airport, it doesn't count. Um, and then from France to LAX on a 12-hour flight. But we cross a bunch of time zones, so we actually land Sunday night at 9:30 p.m.
Okay.
And then we'll rent a car and drive from LA to Riverside. And so, yeah, by the time you hear this, we have been in California since Sunday. And we hit the ground running, getting all the paperwork and stuff done, and started looking when I can make an appointment for the consulate, and we're going to hire a lawyer to do the paperwork stuff and eligibility stuff and confirm all that and get that all taken care of. So we're in the process. We're doing what we think we're doing, what we need to do. We're doing all the travel math. The cool thing is we got return flight tickets instead of one way.
Oh, nice.
We definitely want to come back, and so that kind of pushes the hand to say, "Hey, no, we're coming back to Spain." We're looking forward to figuring out the process. It sucks because I am currently in the process of looking for remote work, which I really don't want to do at all, but it's needed, and so. I feel while we're back in the States, I'll see if I can find something. Also, some gig work. I'll see if I can book, we won't be back in Vegas, so not as easy to book DJ gigs and stuff like that. We'll be back in California, but you never know what might arise. I'll reach out to some contacts I have, and maybe there's a gig or two that I can pull while I'm there to take care of that. I have to renew my marriage license.
What?
No, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. My efficient license, not my marriage license.
Okay. I was like, wait,
My
what?
efficient license. My license to be able to marry people. It's good for 5 years, and those 5 years are up, so I got to renew that. No, 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 no. If I had to renew my marriage license, I said the same thing to my wife, and she looked at me crazy, and rightly so, rightly so. Um, yeah, we know. That was actually, thought of having having to renew your marriage license. It's not a bad idea.
Right.
Like, review, make sure you're still a good couple, things are going well. You have to take a test on how well you know each other. Uh, do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So we should be back here in Spain sometime in April or May. Hopefully with the visa in hand.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be great.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
April,
going to make so let's presuppose that everything goes according to plan. That's going to make you guys traveling around Europe easier.
much easier. Much easier because we'll eventually get an NIE number, which is the identification number, as it were, and then with that you can get a little bit lower housing at a lower rate. Um, because you're considered a resident as opposed to a tourist, so you can find housing apartments at a lower rate. That'll free, and then we know where we'll be for a long period of time. So then you make the arrangements, you have somebody watch the dog, you hop on a cheap old flight and you fly over somewhere and you visit a place and then, do some exploration of Europe and maybe Northern Africa as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
Come to
yeah.
Egypt in May.
Right. That would be
I know some people that'll be
I
there.
do.
Now you I don't know how it'll change with your visa status in Spain, but I've learned that we need to get a tourist visa
Yes.
to go to Egypt.
Correct. The
And
U.S. is now required to have travel visas.
yeah.
A travel
So
visa.
it's apparently, and we haven't done it yet because it's like a 90-day window and we're not 90 days out yet. So we can't do it quite yet. I'll probably do it mid-March.
Right.
That way our entire stay is encompassed by the 90 days or whatnot. But it's you could stay there up to 30 days. Apparently it's an online process. It's super simple. It costs $25
Right.
American. Like it
It's
doesn't
not.
sound to me
It's not as
it sounds to me the way they're
drastic.
presenting it like it's just a click formality. Put your information in. Like
Right.
I renewed my TSA pre-check the other day,
I need to
and
do that. I need to get TSA pre-check. I keep thinking as much traveling as I do, I think having a
you probably need to
TSA.
get. We need to look into global entry. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about looking into global entry because of the Egypt trip. You probably should. Does anybody know anything about global entry? Write us.
Please, please do. If you know anything about global entry, shoot us a message. Send us an email at bigsexynomad@gmail.com and enlighten us. Or, send us an
Because
audio message
yeah,
and tell us all about it so we can play it on the air, and let our listeners know as well. Because, we may have people who want to have that information as well. Speaking of which, I do have some ideas for um, other things we can do in the podcast that I'll bring up in a later. Um, uh, have some ideas for some different kinds of segments and a different series that we should be involved in,
okay.
and some behind the scene business possibilities um, that I meant to tell you about off air and I didn't. So good in common big sexy digital nomad form. I'll tell you about it on air, and we can both be surprised. Well, you can be
You'd probably get a more natural reaction to it.
right, right, right. So I'll bring that up in a little bit, but let me finish the travel thought. Is so um, once we return, the goal is well, if all things work out as we hope, we'll return. We'll hopefully come back to the same apartment that we're in now for April and May, while we're looking on like sites like Idealista or whatever to find a a place that has all the requirements that we're looking for, a little bit closer to Malaga Center and at a lower price point. We need, solid Wi-Fi, close to the beach, close to the train. So somewhere like in between the beach and the train, easy access to public transportation, a little bit closer than where we are to the center of Malaga. Because right now we're in Benalmádena, and if I take a bus from here to Malaga Center, it's about an hour. It's
Okay.
about an hour bus ride. It's about a 35-minute train ride. Um, but then getting to the train is like I have to take a taxi from where we are up to the train station. That's about a €5, €6 endeavor. And then the train ride, like I said, half hour into the city. And then whenever I get to the city, I got to walk to wherever I'm going to get to whatever. Um, I don't know if I mentioned it before. I'm pretty sure I have. I said one of the few things that Romania had over Spain was their public transportation, the rail system, their subway system.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a full subway system. Here they have a train system. Right. There are some. Yeah, they're up above ground, mostly train
Now,
stations.
the distinction between those, because here's what pops into my head, and correct me if I'm envisioning all of this wrong.
Okay.
Comparing a subway system to a train system, I'm imagining a train system being, larger, bulkier trains, and the train is going to get here at 9:15 and leave, at 9:17. Whereas a subway, there's this understanding that trains come through every 9 to 12 minutes or whatever, some frequency. Is that about right? Like this train
Mhm.
might leave this station 8 times today, whereas this subway is going to just cycle through as much as it can.
Kind of. Yes. Yes. So there are less trains on the train system,
Hmm.
right? And it's usually kind of a straight line back and forth. And there's
Yeah.
maybe another one going another direction. There are two that go. From Malaga Center, there are two different train lines: the C1 and the C2. The C1 goes along the coast, and then the C2 goes for a little bit and then cuts inland.
Okay.
Right. Um, those trains run every 20 minutes. Right. So there's a new train every 20 minutes. So there's, I would imagine there's only like maybe 4 trains on the line total. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in Bucharest, there was a new train every 6 minutes. Right.
So
And
a
they,
much greater frequency.
right. And they go a lot of different places. Right. So, um, you can catch a train in those subways, and it's mostly underground. Right, there are some
Yeah.
above ground areas, but it's mostly underground. Whereas the train systems here is mostly above ground.
Yeah. When I lived in Chicago, we had the L,
The L,
which is a multi line system. I want to say, without counting, that there were 6 or 8 different lines, probably 8. Um, and those stops everywhere. Like you couldn't go 6 or 8 blocks without there being an L stop, which is
right?
great. So you could get anywhere from anywhere, and that was kind of um, like a spider. If you were to just overlay a spider and its legs to the city, or a squid or something
Right.
like that. And then we had this other train, what they called a commuter train called
Hmm.
Metra, that would go from maybe a handful of different stops along a line through the city, but it went out to the western suburbs. So it
Right.
went out further. And that was a train that, yeah, maybe that ran through once an hour or so. More
Right.
so in the morning during commute times, in the afternoon
Hence
during commute
commuter
times.
train. Yeah. Yeah.
But midday, my guess would be from like 10 a.m. through 3 in the afternoon, that it ran no more than like 4 trips each way or something. Like it
Right.
wasn't super frequent. But then
Right.
the L, that internal system was running all the
All the
time.
time. Right. Yeah. The train system here is It gives us every 20 minutes or so, and but it operates kind of like a subway. Like if it says it's going to be here at 10:12, it'll arrive at 10:12 and leave at 10:13.
Right.
Right, it's only going to be it's really quick. I mean, it stops. It has quite a few stops um, along the route or whatever, but yeah. The other thing that sucks about the train is it's not 24 hours, and it doesn't even run super late. Like the last train from Malaga Center back out is at 11:30, and that sucks because Spain is like they have a strong late night vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and then unless you have a car, you're either taking a cab or you have to get to the bus station, and the last bus out is either 1 or 1:30 in the morning, right? And so it's like, I mean, I've been so many times in Malaga Center, at a club or whatever, hanging out, going, oh, I got to get to the bus station because I'm gonna miss the last train because we're still at dinner and it's 11:45, so the last
Right.
train's
Yeah.
gone. Um, but let me, we'll go out for. I can go out for an hour, and then I gotta make my way to the bus stop, and then ride the bus an hour back out to the apartment. Um, so those are the only two. Uh, I would say if I became, a political figure in Spain, were able to make any kind of changes, it would mainly be to the public transportation system. It would be one that the train ran 24 hours, not necessarily the buses, but at least the train ran 24 hours because it's just a
Okay.
train, goes back and forth, right? And dogs can be allowed on buses if it's in a kennel.
All right.
Yeah, or
I think that's good.
at least has a muzzle. Right, a muzzle. Some kind of protective measure is required, but let dogs on buses or of a certain size. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would. That's those are the two main things changes I would implement if I were the king of Spain.
What if you had to pay 50% more for your ticket to buy a pet ticket?
That'd be fine.
Underst- Understanding that what that extra money is isn't necessarily for the seat as much as it's like a pet deposit at an apartment.
Right.
So let's say, I don't know what the cost of a ticket is, but let's say that
Euro
extra
40.
money. Okay. So you're talking about paying an extra 75 cents
Right.
ish. Obviously,
To
that 75 cents means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but if it ultimately that
a fund. Yeah.
is animals, it's repaired out of that money. So,
Right.
because animals are animals
Animals are animals.
and,
Cleaning
things
fee in
happen.
case it pees or poops. I can get it. I understand.
Yeah. Or that you're talking about putting an animal into an environment that it's not used to. So a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes you'll get certain animals that'll get nervous and start to like claw at stuff or rip stuff up or whatever. Things can happen.
Right.
So just having a contingency in place, I don't think it's a huge amount of money to do so. Obviously, you're talking about an increase from what you'd normally pay. So it's a matter of perspective. But I don't think that's too much to ask. And I think that that's a reasonable kind of precaution, I guess is the right word to take.
Right.
Um,
A precautionary measure
yeah.
is throw some more money, and then as that builds up, you can use that to upgrade your buses.
Yeah.
And upgrade the transportation system. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You know, and if the bus runs 24 hours, charge a premium late night fee, right? So if the bus trip is 2.40, if the train is €2.40 during the day, after hours, double it. I'd be willing to pay double a train ticket to have the access to the train at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
That'd be worth it to me. And then you use that money to maintain
And
your
I don't
train
think that's
system.
unreasonable because if you think about it, and obviously I'm talking about I'm applying American knowledge and American concepts to a European culture here, but like if you look at factories and warehouses and things like that, or places in the US that have shift work, there's a standard, like the starting wage is whatever, and then the second shift usually gets a little bit of a premium over, doing the same work, and then the third shift even more money. So if it is presumed that you would pay the employees working the later hours more money, then that obviously should be transferred to those who are buying the tickets in that same time frame.
Exactly. They do have a really
Weird.
cool train ticket, where you can get an unlimited pass to ride the train. It's €10, which is really inexpensive. And then if you ride the train more than 16 times, that €10 is refunded. So it's like having a free train pass.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, we done that, but they run it for like 3 months at a time, right? And so the last time we were here, they had it, so we got that. This time we knew about it immediately, so immediately got that, recharged the card, and then it incentivizes you to take the train.
Yeah,
And
of
that's why they did
course.
it. They did it as an incentive for people to take the train and not drive their car so much. You know, um, which is great, wonderful. I think it's fabulous. Uh, so those are the changes that I would make to the public transportation system. I'm excited. We mentioned that we're recording early. This Thursday, a friend of ours, Tanya, shout out to Tanya, is going to take us to Nerja, which is a nearby city here in Malaga. That's very beautiful, we hear, and absolutely wonderful. And there isn't a train that goes there. That's the other issue. The trains don't kind of run all the way through. It goes from the city center to just west, like a few cities west.
There's a
It does.
there's a there's a real famous comedy club not far from there, right?
Which one's that?
Ha?
Ha, the
No, no,
Nerja?
no. That's near Haha. Never
Near
mind.
Haha. That's near
Yeah, near
Haha's.
Haha. A different city,
Different city.
different
Yeah,
club.
different club. Yeah. Actually, that's not a bad idea to open a comedy club in Near Ha called Near Haha. Near
Yeah.
Haha's comedy spot. TM.
We are
Um,
changing the world of Spain all in this one episode.
all in this one episode. We're making changes to better my new home. Um, Afraid, so she's gonna drive us out. We're gonna view the site. It's gonna take it. It's gonna look lovely. We're looking forward to that. We haven't been. We've been saying we wanted to go since before we got back, and we're going. 2 days before we leave. But that's go when you go 3 days before you. But go when you can go. So we're really excited to look for that. And I'll be taking a bunch of pictures and some videos of the area. Really excited for it. And we've been looking at other things like, what else do we need to do before we leave? And it's like, well, we got to work still. So, so we can't do a whole lot before we leave. We're having a goodbye party. Again, listeners, as you're hearing this, all this will have already happened. We're having a not a goodbye party. It's a see you soon party. It's a farewell uh, on Friday at a place called La Fabrica, and it's really cool. We had a delicious, very delicious steak when we were there last. It's a really cool place. So hopefully all our friends can, most of our friends can make it out and spend some time with us. And this week we're locking up people and spending some time together and doing what we can, saying see you guys soon to folks we love and adore. Also shout out to everybody who has been a guest on the podcast. That's going to be weird. I will be thinking about adding, or like, who can I interview back in the US, right? Like I'm going to still keep up the interview series, which means I'm going to reach out to my friends, be like, hey, we may have you as a guest on the podcast. And then we'll tailor it. I guess it's a good time as either to talk about things that are going to happen for the podcast. So let me add a little bit of this. Perfect. So we got some interview series, some interviews coming up. I was able to finally interview Nas. I've been talking about, and not the rapper, not Nas. The rapper wasn't here, but a friend of fellow digital nomad and
It's coming. It just
gamer.
is a scheduling issue.
Yeah. We'll get Nas the rapper on here and talk about his travels and stuff like that one day. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Fingers and toes, and if I could, my nose. We get he's on and get a few extra interviews coming down the wire, but then I was hoping to get like I when we knew that we were coming, like the past 2 weeks, I was like, okay, maybe if I can book an interview every single day, I'll have enough interviews to cover us through the
To cover
time
the
I'm in
gap.
the States, right? And then I went, well, I'm not going to hit that goal, so I'll interview people in the States. Like I'll find some friends, and like we did before I left, you know. Um,
Have you? Will you be in Vegas at all?
right now, I'm looking to be in Vegas the same time you are. The
Perfect.
first part of February. I don't know if I'm going to be able to because both transportation and lodging are the
Yeah.
costly issue, right? So if we can figure a way out there and a place to stay, which means I'll probably check and see if Mom's has a free stay at New York or something, and wants to go to Vegas, we may be able to make that work. Um, yeah, so working on that. We will absolutely make it to Vegas at some point in time while we're out there. Uh, the second best option is if we are in, because when you go to apply for your visa, you have to give them your passports because they add it to your passport, and so
Hmm.
that means you're stuck. You can't travel until they give those back to you. Uh, you know, if the that process takes longer and takes us into May, then I will do my best to find a way to make it to Scoop Fest.
Oh hell yeah!
And if I'm going to if it turns out I'm going to make it to Scoop Fest, then I will definitely talk to the boys about hosting a karaoke night there or multiple karaoke nights to redeem the debacle that was last Scoop Fest, um, where I was hosting karaoke, which I'm sure I talked about, which was so sad. People still had a good time. People still had fun. People did eventually sing, but yeah, we had an issue where my the person who I borrowed the equipment from had locked the laptop and had changed the passcode,
Oh.
and then didn't tell me he changed the passcode and had fallen asleep. So I couldn't access the laptop that I had. They have the karaoke stuff on it. Eventually, Jacob, the audio guy, shout out to Jacob, the audio guy, saved the day by letting me use his laptop, hooking it up, and then accessing YouTube and having people uh, do it from the YouTube, which don't want to have to happen again. But the good news is I have things needed that I can make the magic happen. I don't have to require that information. If I do need to borrow equipment, I'll be sure to that never happens again. So I want a second chance to redeem that and do some karaoke at Scoop Fest. That is, unless we're in Spain, then I could give a shit.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Which is what I mainly hope. I hope to miss Scoop Fest because I'm in Spain. Like that's probably that's the solid reason to miss Scoop Fest.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. Just like
Um,
I think that being in Egypt is a solid reason to miss
exactly.
Scoop
Exactly.
this
I
year.
I keep forgetting. I need to make the note because I keep forgetting to reach out to the Scoop Pod folks about making a video of having podcast hosts send
Oh
in
yeah.
a video thanking the boys for being our pod daddies. Um, so I need to put that on my schedule. Maybe I'll make that the first thing I do when I get back to the U.S. Like I'll need things to do. I'll need things to keep me busy whilst I look for work, whilst I set up, you know, any possible interviews while I do. Oh, uh, uh, another big thing that is happening. Um, I've been invited to be a cast member of Hamilton's an American sing along, which is a sing along to the musical Hamilton, which I performed in before a few years time. Both me and Nilla have performed in it, but it'll be in LA in March. And so I will also be in California in March. So I submitted they requested an audition. So I submitted that and waiting to hear back and see how that goes. So listeners, I will keep you posted. Yours truly will be gracing the stage once again. And that makes me so very happy. I
Sweet,
cannot wait.
sweet.
Um, yeah, I really look forward to that opportunity because, feeding the soul with stage activities is required and will help me maintain my sanity whilst I'm back in California. Because listen, I don't know if you recall when I left Vegas and headed to California, I was let me make sure I do things to maintain my sanity.
Right, right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So if it works out that you're in Vegas while I'm in Vegas, I think that we need to push this show that I'm going to be part of, the Secret Circus. Most likely, I haven't heard a confirmation yet, but they do these once a month, so I believe that I'll get a confirmation. There's no reason that they wouldn't have me, so I can imagine. I'll be there doing a routine that I may or may not by then be recording to throw on to a certain TV show that we're all peripherally connected with. I mean, you've been on the show, I've watched it, and
Did you get my?
uh,
I sent you the form for the audition. Did you get that?
yeah. They
Yeah, I
have
tagged
opened the
you in that.
door for season 11 edition,
Yeah,
auditions, submissions, whatever you want to call it.
right,
They have not officially, I guess, been renewed, but everything is looking the way that it should look for them to be renewed. I believe that may be something that they're talking about or negotiating, so they kind of might know that it's a foregone conclusion.
right,
And I think that with the last one, things went so fast and they kind of got behind the eight ball on it. Like, I know for a fact that some of the submissions that they received were never viewed because I have an unlisted video in my YouTube account that has 0 views on it.
right.
So
So they didn't look at it.
I know they didn't get to that one. So I've actually resubmitted that just because it's there and I know that
Already,
it was never
already
looked
done.
at. And then also I've got this other thing that I'm working on, which you guys have actually all seen if you're on the Patreon, I think.
Our
Did I submit?
Patreon. We have a Patreon.
We have a Patreon.
How do people go to our Patreon?
I believe that you could go to bullwithabutthole.com. I mean, you don't have to poke the bull. Just go to bullwithabutthole.com. And
Yeah,
yeah, and then you could sign up. It's actually, there's a free tier there, which is great. There's a $1 tier, I think, still, and a bunch of others. You
yeah,
added some other stuff, yes?
yeah. We built the Patreon subscription format out. We will do the. We have. I'm stumbling, and I'm not going to cut it out. I'm going to keep all this madness in. Um, we upgraded the tiers, and the last episode of each month, we will do the shout outs for our base level. So if you're a free member or a paid subscription, if you're a paid member, the $1 tier, once a month you'll get a shout out on the podcast. Um, as it goes up, the shout outs get more frequent. So um, and the location changes. So as those kind of things happen, we'll be adding folks to that right now. But thank you everybody who's a Patreon subscriber. We do appreciate you very very much. And you're hearing this. I think the next episode, if I'm looking at my calendar correctly, no, not the next one. The last episode, the last Wednesday of the month actually is the 31st of the month. So on that episode, you'll get a big shout out and a big thank you, and we'll take a good
Yeah.
portion to do a thank you. Like we're gonna have music for it, and I'm gonna find some background music, um, and really up the production value of our thank yous to our listeners and stuff like that. You
Cool,
know,
cool.
because we love y'all. We love you, world travelers, and we appreciate you for being here and for supporting us and following us along this journey. But yeah,
Hopefully
it's
around hopefully shortly after that time we're able to do one in person.
yes, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Big time, big time. Yeah, well, so big things are coming up. I'm excited for the things. I'm not excited to be heading back to the U.S., but I am kind of excited that the performance opportunity and the
Part of the
chance
process.
right, the chance to see people, um, get the paperwork done, get that figured out and normalized and formalized rather, and really make that move. Get every now and then people ask like, "Hey, do you miss the U.S.?" And my knee jerk, nah, not really. I don't. I miss the people there. I miss things about it, but like living there, no, I really don't. I don't, not at all. Um, every now and then, I'll miss Vegas. Well, people will post something that makes me miss Vegas. Like they perform this, or shout out to Bleach Improv, who keeps doing shows and having shows. Uh, I see them post or whatever. I go, oh man, I would love to get a chance to play with Bleach. Hopefully, when I'm in Vegas, I'll make sure that we encompass a Thursday so that I can join Bleach and play with them again. I'll do the things I can in the U.S. I did have dreams of like doing our journey backwards. We did the Barry White farewell tour,
Yeah.
leaving, and I had dreamed of doing that backwards, like starting in Florida and then making our way through other friends and catching the people we didn't catch when we left, coming back in. But again, that's cost prohibitive, and a lot of the people that we want to see are in cold areas of the world, and we're very much team anti-winter, so no.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that during winter time. That's for
No, not at
sure.
all. So if things, all things, if things work out, right? So here, listeners, you know how I love to say the big stuff for the end of this podcast. If things work out, my dreams work out, right? I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast. I have workshops where I utilize improv techniques to for the betterment of other sectors that don't really do improv, and one for performance. So I have uh, using improv to uh, alleviate stage fright. I have one improv for parents. I'm developing an improv for therapists. And I want to start these kind of workshops. And I'm really going to be working on building the website, getting the workshops up and running. So if I get the workshops, if I'm able to have a workshop before we leave the US, that'll be a nice um, uh, starter, right? And then we'll actually may be able to afford doing another farewell tour through the U.S. as we leave again. I would love to be able. Well, we have return flight tickets, so we're not cruising back out. But I would love to do like a mini, another small carnival cruise while we're back in the U.S. from like Long Beach to Mexico again. I'd love to do that kind of small cruise, so I'm looking to do that kind of stuff as well. Now, this is a good time to mention the business. Anybody who's listening this long gets to hear this part. It is possible.
We always save the good stuff for the end.
We really do. Hold on a second. Let me see what this is. Yes, perfect. I like this. Coming at you, the big, sexy digital nomad news. So, I was talking to our dear friend Billy from cruisehabit.com about the possibility of them becoming a sponsor for Big Sexy Digital Nomad. We may run ads for them. Hopefully, we have a decent enough listener base, and because we're growing, right? Our Spotify numbers show me that we're actually bigger than I thought we were. So we're going to be in talks. So I figure you and I will set up a time when we have an official business meeting with Billy to talk about what that looks like, what that
Am I
process
gonna have to put a
is.
shirt on?
No, no, because I'm not
Okay,
putting a
good.
shirt on either. Yeah. I mean, it's the business the way we conduct business. So, matter of fact, I want to make Billy take his shirt off. Yeah.
Good.
We'll have a meeting and then uh, discuss what that future may look like. And of course, we promised by episode 80, which is in a mere 11 episodes away, that we'll have this ship running in order to some kind of close to perfect. So we'll see how that goes. But of course, any income that the podcast generates will be put back into the podcast to make it better. You've been upgrading your equipment. I need to upgrade my equipment, make it a little bit more portable. Um, you know, some advancements here and there, and especially if we come back to Spain and we have like a decent sized apartment where we can have like a separate studio space, or if I can turn a part of the bedroom into a studio, I definitely want to do that. So that will take some capital and some equipment to get that all set up and running. Plus, we want to get extra merch. We want to hire some graphic designers to create some more big sexy digital nomad merch and gear for our listener to be able to support the podcast that way. Speaking of which, you are able to go to whereisbigsexy.com, and that's where as if you're wearing clothes.
WEAR.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure that T Public, where we house our merch store, is having a sale because they always are. So I believe they're having a New Year's sale. Usually it's like 35% discount. So get you a Big Sexy Digital Nomad t-shirt. Shout out to our dear friend Brogan Hastings, who did the majority of our artwork. Shout out to our dear friend Angel Quo, who has also done artwork for the other podcast, Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love podcast that I'm a part of. And, shout out to Wayne Geo, who has done artwork for us. You guys know
Yeah.
both Wayne and Brogan from.
Hey, buddy, nice podcast.
Right. The friends over there. Thank you again for being a guest on our episode 67. That was really cool to have them.
If I want to let everybody know, this isn't like some big scoop or anything, but it might motivate people a little bit to throw some shekels at some big sexy digital nomad merchandise. Let's say that you're on a tight budget, all right, and you're trying to decide, hey, I'm going to buy a T-shirt from T Public, and I really like those big sexy guys, and I really like those Hey Buddy Nice podcast guys, and I kind of want to support them both. Well, if you buy from our store, you not only support us, but you also support them. And I know
Ding,
this
ding,
is
ding.
like, wait, but how is that possible? Well, T Public has like a referral program. So when we signed up our T Public shop, it was actually on a referral from Hey Buddy Nice podcast.
Correct.
So every time you buy something from us, we get whatever we get. And when it's on sale, it's not a lot, but that's okay. We don't mind.
Right.
When
Not
it's
in
on
it for
sale,
the money.
because if it's not on sale, it will be in 2 days. Every time you buy something from us, they get $1 as well.
They get a little kickback. Yeah.
Up to like 1,000 items sold, which I don't think we're near 1,000 items sold.
Not yet. But hopefully, 2024 can bring something along those lines. That would be amazing. But you stay on the lookout. We're gonna have some more big sexy digital nomad swag and things to give away. We're actually been talking about what things we want to be able to hand out to folks when we're out and about. And so if you see us out in the wild, hopefully we'll have something to put in your hands, and we'll figure out what that is, and it'll be amazing. But I would like to take this time to say thank you all again for following us on this journey. We really appreciate you. Please tell somebody, share, go to our YouTube channel. You can search Big Sexy Digital Nomad on YouTube. So become a subscriber there. Like, subscribe, share the YouTube channel with your people. You never know, somebody else may get a kick out of an entertainer and 2 entertainers, and one who's also a lawyer, and the other one who's a digital nomad, talking about madness and conducting interviews with people around the world, right? It's not just our story. I realize that I'm also a catalyst to help other people tell their story as well. So we
For
want to be a
sure.
catalyst. And if you have a story to tell and you think it'd be a great story for us to hear, share it with us. Hit us up on
Even if you don't think it's a great story, if you want to explain global entry to us, we're going to do one of two things on this podcast within the next couple of weeks. Either A, we're going to do the research and explain it to people, or B, we're going to read your submission explaining it to people. So if you want us to do exactly what we're going to do, except say your name before and after we do it, and then thank you for helping us,
right.
all you got to do is that homework for us that
Yep.
we've probably already done by now and just haven't talked about.
Yeah, I doubt it. I know us.
It's true. I have it written on a piece of paper that I need to look into global entry.
Right. I have that written into my to-do list. We'll see if it gets done. But as this is dropping in a week's time, you got any shows coming up after that our folks can check you out at?
We've got shows showing up all the time. We actually just booked a couple private things, so those won't be on our website, but either judgementalist.com or between2minds.com. I am most likely going to be performing at that Secret Circus in Las Vegas on Sunday the 4th.
Nice.
Once that's confirmed, there'll be more details floating out. And if somehow the stars align that Big Sexy is in Vegas while I'm in Vegas, we're going to make that like a quasi meetup. Come to that show, see me put a staple in my hand. I mean, not put a staple in my hand, and hang out with us before and afterwards.
Yeah. And also tentative, makes me so joyous. If you want to see Big Sexy on stage,
Yes, we do.
Tentatively March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, the first weekend of March, I may be in Hamilton. So if you're in the Los Angeles area or if you're in the Southern California area, you can get to the Southern California area. March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I will be performing Hamilton. And once that's confirmed, because again, I haven't heard anything. I just put in the audition. But once that's confirmed and I'm in it, I know I'm in it, and I have the dates, be on the lookout. Of course, I'll post it all over my social medias. So make sure you're following at bigsexynomad, follow at who is big sexy, follow at psychic-ish for all Judge Mentalist stuff. And you will get that information, of course. And of course, I'll talk about it at oodles here on the podcast. I'll rave about it and have stories of how that kind of stuff is going. And again, shoot us out on the Patreon. Here's the bullwiththebutthole.com where you can join our Patreon and support the podcast. So we appreciate y'all. Thank you all so much for listening. And in the meantime, safe travels.
Safe travels.